And here to help us forecast the future of cybersecurity, my guest, the Microsoft Chief of Technologies, Paul Edlund.
Hey.
Technologist,
Yes,
I should say.
that's right.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to me, we are forecasting crystal ball time.
Yeah.
How does Microsoft envision the future of cybersecurity?
Yeah, so today a lot of the security stuff out there is based on signatures and looking for specific types of things coming in. But a lot of the changes that we see, and you've heard a lot from the other esteemed the people who've been up here before me, talking about the massive amounts of telemetry that we gain in our cloud. And what we're going to have to rely on more in the future is machine learning and the aspects of machine learning, because as the criminals get smarter, we need to build smarter algorithms to find them, basically. On the endpoint protection side, we've always focused at Microsoft on, most vendors have focused on basically how healthy are you. In the future, I think it's going to be a combination of 4 quadrants specifically, a kind of who are you, where are you, what are you, and how are you. So an example of that would be like, I'm Chris, I'm at a coffee shop, I'm on my iPad and that device is enrolled with MDM. And then maybe a different scenario would you take that same iPad and bring it home or bring it to work. Maybe it's not enrolled with MDM. And Microsoft has this idea of conditional access. And so what we might do is combine those who, what, where, and hows to say, well, in one scenario, maybe I'll just have your phone ring just to ensure that it's not your child on your iPad. And then in another scenario, maybe I'll look to see if your Bluetooth phone is paired with your PC. And if it is, then I'll use that to attest that you're in a different scenario. And then make some intelligent decisions based on those things. But that machine learning is constantly going to be gauging the who, the what, the where, and the how.
Right. What are maybe some of the more interesting things you're seeing in the future of cybersecurity?
Yeah, one of the more cool ones actually is this whole idea of quantum computing. Today's computers are based on bits, actually a binary object being up or down basically, and we have 64-bit machines, so we have 64 up, downs, and combinations of those. And today's computers answer questions in a FIFO format, basically first in, first out. Quantum computers don't have the idea of bits, they have the idea of quantum bits, and a quantum bit can be off or on or off and on at the exact same time because it's based on the rotation of an electron around a nucleus. With that gives us the ability to do these massive computations. And quantum bits are unlike regular PCs, they don't answer questions FIFO. If you have a question that might have 15 results, it'll answer all 15 of those at the exact same time and just project out the best answer.
Wow.
And with that capability in the realms of places like healthcare or medical scenarios or being able to predict something about the future, they're going to be able to do it far faster than our computers could today. In the world of cryptography, though, you could imagine a scenario where we take one of these quantum computers and using some of the, or let's just compare it to what we have today. With a binary computer, it might take us 10,000 years to decrypt some of the longest keys that we have. In the future with quantum computing, using something called Shor's algorithm, it'll take about 10 hours on the strongest keys that we have today. And so imagine that a nation state gets access to a quantum computer. I mean, essentially all of those secrets will be on the wire and decrypted in short order. So our goal at Microsoft is to work on quantum computing, and we're doing that through an organization called Station Q. And the other one is just to get passwords off of the wire, and you'll see demonstrations later on today by Julia White where we talk about things like Windows Hello, and we'll show off those things. I mean, the goal for those, getting the passwords off of the wire, obviously has a lot of impacts. One is that there's nothing to snag, and you've heard other people talk this morning about pass the hash attacks where you replay the attack vector against a different device. When you're not sending the password and instead you're sending something called a nonce, there is no password, so there's nothing to sniff off, and therefore a quantum computer would have nothing to smell.
Wow. Well, it wasn't too long ago that the future was the cloud, and now the cloud is here. Talk about how it creates some, obviously some interesting compliance and data sovereignty issues for customers, but are you seeing anything in the future that might help our customers?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is this thing called homomorphic encryption. And today, for example, in Azure, you can bring your own cryptographic keys to our cloud. And the benefit of bringing your own keys is that if you decide tomorrow that you no longer want to do business with Microsoft, you can revoke that key and we lose access to all of that information. Using something called homomorphic encryption, it allows you to publish your data to our cloud, and instead of being able to read that data, we would never have access to that key. And instead what we're doing is making a prediction on the data constantly. that would imply that we never actually have access to the data, and you're the only person who can read the prediction that's being made about your own data. And that makes a cloud provider kind of almost like a service. We're the raw processor and memory and disk, and we know nothing about your data. And at some point in the future, that will be true. Today, we don't do homomorphic encryption at scale because it doesn't scale. It's a very slow process. We can only do about 51,000 computations per hour, I believe. I forget the exact number, but it's somewhere in that range. We need that to be in the millions in order to do that. But that should give our customers a lot of calmness about putting data in our cloud when we actually do adopt homomorphic encryption. It'll be a blessing to everybody.
Since you work out of the Microsoft Technology Centers, how can these facilities help customers with cybersecurity?
Yeah, most of our customers are really good at operationalizing the things that they do. They're good at running stuff and building. What they're really not good at doing is in planning and envisioning. And so where the technology centers really help is in those two phases of planning and envisioning. And I would argue that, if you're ever in one of those, wherever you're about to embark on a huge endeavor with Microsoft, that you leverage those MTCs, and specifically around the ideas of security, we bring in specialists to go very deep into different areas around Office 365 and Azure and your on-prem investments to make sure that we have the right people at the table. And that's a good aggregation point for us because there's a lot of architects who live natively in those technology centers. And so we bring a lot of forces to bear very quickly. If you say, I want to talk to the big data guy, we can walk down the hall and pull them in, for example. So those technology centers are really good resources for our customers in the cases of planning and envisioning specifically.
Great. Now, in our final seconds here, we do want to pay off the results to the poll question we put out to our audience. Yeah. They're watching wherever you might be. You've weighed in. That question, of course, do you already have a response plan in place in event of a breach? A, yes. B, no. 55% say yes. Quick reaction to that?
That's shocking, actually. I talk to a lot of customers, and I'm always surprised by how few of them actually have a response plan. Most of the time, we have a detect and protect. Most of them are really well versed in protect and detect. Very few of them have actually planned for the breach. So that's great. I'm happy to see it. Hopefully it'll just keep on getting better because that's a place where Microsoft and other people really want our customers' minds at, is in the realm of creating a response plan. And it has nothing to do with us as vendors. It really has to do with them protecting the keys to their kingdom. And we want them to be firmly focused on having a great response plan. So congratulations and keep up the good work.
Paul, they've made you happy. Thank you. Thanks for your time today, Paul Edlin. Thank you.